N wanted Gondor to make friends. But why? Why make friends when you will lose them as the bullet pierces their very skull?
Uyanmaz olaydım. Yanı başımda bir fotoğraf, gülen bir kadın. Ah o kadın.
While an embryo is born, a life meets its end elsewhere. Amidst the endless now, you push the boulder as instructed. But why does Sisyphus push it still? What keeps him going, knowing the pointlessness of it all? N's cries after losing Mio have made it perfectly clear that attachment brings nothing but suffering.
Why, Mio? Why would you do this to me? You said you'd be by my side. Mio! All I did for you!
Yeah, maybe all of this is a litmus test for our capacity to affirm life. Maybe that's why Takahashi-san explored hope and despair over and over again. Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3, there's a common thread of hope and despair, pneuma and logos. If you were to discover that every moment of your life, all its joys, all its pains, every rush of excitement, and every long day of boredom was to recur in sequence again and again, was to repeat for eternity, how would you react? Would you be pleased? Or as Malos did, would you curse the world intended by the architect?
Oh, architect, is this the world that you intended?
If this was any other developer like Ubisoft, it would be easy to write it off as a lazy game design. But Takahashi-san repeats it over and over precisely to make the point of eternal recurrence, that underneath the appearance of differences, it is the same question that we need to answer time and again to arrive at a satisfying answer. What is meaning? What are we in the end?
What are we in the end? This hunger I feel, this thirst, is it really my own, or is it someone else's? Sometimes I can't tell. Tell me, Jin, are you really here? I don't know where I really am.
Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher Takahashi-san was heavily inspired by, coined the term eternal recurrence in his book Thus Spoke Zarathustra, which is the subtitle of Xenosaga Episode 3, as a litmus test to strengthen our capacity to love. Just like Nietzsche, Takahashi-san believes that it is pointless to lament your fate, like N did, to reject the hand that you're dealt with, to try to rise above it all by becoming a Moebius, wallowing in your despair, trading one person's life for the world. Selfishly clinging to M, to your happiness, at the expense of others. The Santa Clara University's Department of Philosophy states, Nietzsche believed in eternal recurrence, that our lives repeat infinitely, and that in each life, every detail will be exactly the same. It was not enough that eternal recurrence simply be accepted. Nietzsche demanded that it be loved. Which is precisely the problem Takahashi-san wanted to tackle in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Amor Fati is a term, the love of fate, Nietzsche argued. In Thus Spoke Zarathustra, he says, quote, everything goes, everything returns, the wheel of existence rolls forever. Everything dies, everything blossoms anew, the year of existence runs on forever. Everything breaks, everything is joined anew, the same house of existence builds itself forever. Everything departs, everything meets again, the ring of existence is true to itself forever. Existence begins in every instance. The boulder rolls around every here. The middle is everywhere. The path of eternity is crooked.
A moment in time. A sublime experience. That brilliance, it shines ascendant over all else.
That's why it takes so much frickin' work. Working stinks.
They all learn sooner or later. They learn how priceless it was, how grossly irreplaceable. The eclipse grows near.
While Moebius, Zed, is bastardizing Nietzsche's teachings here, the paradox of what we're talking about here is so hard to reconcile that even Lanz doesn't understand what Zed is talking about.
You have come to stop the flow, have you not? This march of time, stilled for eternity. You intend to stop it by removing me.
So is it flowing, or is it stopped? You're not making any sense, mate.
In fact, not just Lanz, but this is similar to how N asked for Zed to say what he means in the theater scene.
Say what you mean.
The very concept of a Moebius is such a morally ambiguous ground that you pay lip service to eternal recurrence while being shackled by it, unable to let go of this cycle to start a new one, fearing non-existence, oblivion, and death. It is true that Zed understands how everything buds from but a single thought, how craving, the desire for existence, lies at the heart of them all. But he doesn't understand that aversion to non-existence is similarly a trap.
Pleasures and sorrows, meetings and partings, their roots are the same. Tolerance of existence is at the heart of them all.
You want me to frolic with them?
You shall find there's no such thing as luxury in this world. Everything buds from but a single thought. That you yourself are here is proof definite thereof.
No! I don't want to die!
Moebius are an entity bound by the confines of this world. Strong, yet somehow fragile. Moebius, what even are they? Harvesting our lives to cling to life. Even stopping time.
Mio, allowing for limiting conditions, we are reborn after we have died. Are Moebius as well?
Moebius, they can't be brought back once they die.
Why is that?
I'm not sure myself. Although, each of them is fundamentally aware of this. That's why they're afraid of death.
They're scared, huh?
Nietzsche wants you to not just tolerate existence, but to love it. That is the meaning behind the smile, after all. Facing your end with open arms, with no regrets. To not want to transcend aionios, but to reforge it, to create a new world where no one is forced to fight ever again, not fearing failure, not fearing death. Hand in hand, together with the people who love you, people who you rely on. And that humanity is Ouroboros, something that Moebius actively rejects to sleep better at night, to delude themselves into thinking they are the protectors of the endless now, severing their conscience. But the Ubermensch Noah, as Takahashi-san put it in his interview, won't have none of it. See, I think it's important to be conscious of how we all crave attention as social animals. A text from our friends, notifications on WhatsApp, comments under YouTube videos. Even if it's virtual, the interaction assures us that we're not alone and affirms our existence as a self. We exist and we're loved. Right? We cling to the idea that maybe our date, our girlfriend maybe, is into us just as much as we're into them. We are attached, we love them, we want them to be happy, we want them to live. But what if that person you love so much leaves you tomorrow? How would you react? What would you do? I'm not talking about anything serious, just gone, doesn't want to talk to you anymore, or doesn't care enough to maintain the relationship. And imagine that person being someone you were imagining a future with, maybe even kids. Someone you thought you knew for these past 10 years, only to see your hope shatter to dust. Can you love your fate still? That, as Nietzsche argues, is Amor Fati, something N wasn't able to do as Moebius. He was so attached to M that, at the risk of severing his conscience forever, he needed to cling to that love just to justify his existence. After all, life was meaningless without her. Takahashi-san is basically asking a hard question to answer. Can you let go of her to start the cycle all over again? All memories erased, meeting new people in a new cycle, and to care for them each just as much. Can you do it? While knowing you've lost M, maybe the only person you loved, now lending a hand to the worms like Jorans and Shanias of the world, people you don't actually care that much. If you're honest with yourself, regardless, will you share? Give them some of yours. Will you help them? Will you call that charity or compassion? Will you show it, imagining them who are granted it to be thus satisfied, imagining not a piece of wretchedness to remain? We all live with this pressure, making the best possible choices under duress, living the best life. While there are no losers in the world Moebius offers, there are also no winners.
Even this place was once ravaged by war. By Kevis and Agnes.
Has the war really spread this far?
There's even more. More husks underneath.
This right here is what the world is really like. Designed to keep us shackled.
Keep us shackled?
Your so-called cradles are the growth modules that birthed you. You were conscripted from birth, trained to kill one another ruthlessly and steal each other's life. That life energy pours into the flame clocks, becoming the fuel that feeds Moebius. In order for Moebius to exist, they must continue to claim life energy. And these cradles right here, they're used to recycle your lives. Yeah. You live your lives in servitude so that Moebius can exist. And even in death, there's no release. You'll just keep getting recycled. Soldiers bound by Moebius's shackles are destined only for mutual destruction. Those who lose their lives in battle, they're reborn anew. They wake from a castle cradle, a blank slate without a scrap of their former memories.
The body may die, but never the soul, which is merely passed on. Souls flow onward, born and reborn, forever part of the great ether stream.
At its core, Amor Fati is continuing to push the boulder with a smile on your face, even if your ankle is hurting. Nietzsche says, quote, "My formula for greatness in a human being is Amor Fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity, not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it. All idealism is mendaciousness in the face of what is necessary, but love it." I want you to realize that even if you were to suffer in eternal agony, you need to hold on to your humanity still. Your conscience is the only thing that you can't give up on in this God-forsaken world. Protect it with your life if you have to.
You feel the anguish, crippling despair. That is the hubris of fools who cling blindly to their hopes, only to find them dashed on the rocks. Of dreamers crushed under the sheer weight of reality. Of abject failures.
What's it all been for, eh? All of our fighting. We struggle on and on. But at the end of the day, it never ends.
As long as we live, all we can do is fight on. That's not going to change.
You saying there's no escape?
Depends how you look at it. Sourcing ingredients and growing crops. You'd call doing those things a struggle, wouldn't you?
You say some weird stuff.
Fight, struggle, they're just words. And what's important is not the words, it's what you do.
However ruined this world has become, however mired in torment and despair, life endures. Births continue. There is beauty in that, is there not?
Isn't it ironic that when you're young, you can't wait to grow up and be an adult? But when you're older, you long for the times when you were a child. Is it flowing or is it stopped? You're not making any sense, mate. When you're young, you have the health, but not the means to do what you want. But when you're older, you have the means, but not so much the energy or the time. See, the point is we all live with this constant stream of dissatisfaction, moment by moment. We feel like something is missing, even in happiness, never completely satisfied or content. Nihilism is the philosophical position that rejects all religious and moral principles, arguing how this world is intrinsically meaningless and The attempt to imbue it with meaning is self-delusion at best.
You are simply deceiving yourselves, wishing to divine some meaning from something that is devoid of it.
Whatever the immoral paradigm a nihilist had chosen to live by, whatever rule was invented, they can't allow you to actively oppose it and enforce your will, as that would make the kinks in its armor too apparent. In fact, let me go a few steps further. It is priceless to see how Sena here is using moral relativism as a weapon against itself, which leads to more resistance, while Zed is doing his best to reaffirm how taking lives is the only way forward.
The only thing we ever do is take lives! There is no winning! You can't just invent some rule!
Why do you recoil from taking lives? The world itself has set this rule. Why resist? It is through consumption of life that this world persists. Denying it is self-delusion. The only outcome, self-destruction. It is unequivocal fact, the imperative that is intrinsic to all living things. The source of our power, and of all living things, lies therein. Young, spirited people, trading lives, aiming for new, ever loftier heights with each new day. That explosive motive power is something we lack. The essence of life. And we are here to express ourselves as an embodiment of life.
While Takahashi-san already confirmed how Noah is an Ubermensch fighting against nihilism, but how can that be? Zed is protecting the endless now, not destroying the world like Malos did in All Rest. After all, if you look at the strict definition of nihilism written in the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, it writes, "Nihilism is the belief that all values are baseless and that nothing can be known or communicated. It is often associated with extreme pessimism and a radical skepticism that condemns existence. A true nihilist would believe in nothing, have no loyalties, and no purpose other than perhaps an impulse to destroy." Now that last part, the impulse to destroy, is the endbringer Malos in All Rest. We all can see the connection. But a misconception about nihilism is that as a worldview, the idea that it can only be expressed with an impulse to destroy is false. As in many ways, Zed behaves like a fusion between Zanza and the architect in the most twisted way possible. As Moebius, he has a duty to preserve humanity, but also intoxicates it with a sense of divinity as representing humanity's fear himself. It is this unholy union of the two sides of Klaus, Bionis and All Rest. As such, Zed's actions are the inverse of the architect. While the architect took the time to appreciate Pneuma in Elysium, hoping that they succeed in preventing humanity's destruction, Zed in Ionios simply sits back in his theater and enjoys witnessing the chaos unfold, watching humans as a bunch of pixels on the screen moving at his amusement.
A world with the freedom to choose!
Not a hollow world of fiction like this one! Everyone wants a reality that they can believe in!
Freedom is nothing more than fiction, a deception. Those with power, those who can choose, think nothing of it. What then of those who cannot choose? What about the meek and frail? Not everyone is granted as many options as you all have.
Zet pays lip service to humanity's well-being as the protector of the endless now, but it is only so to sustain their own existence, not unlike a Zen Devil described in spiritual texts. Nietzsche says, quote, "Nihilism, any aim is lacking, any answer to the question why is lacking. What does nihilism mean? That the supreme values devaluate themselves. That is the most extreme form of nihilism, nothingness, the meaningless eternally." Just as Zanza, Malos, and Zet represented logos in their respective games, they all enjoyed hedonism and pleasure, rejecting how humanity should be valued and overall suffering should be reduced. They do not believe in moral values. For them, as long as they're happy, it is good enough for logos. There's this tendency in all of us to reject compassion for everyone else in favor of our circle of friends, family, and loved ones. After all, isn't it true that your friend is more important to you than a stranger walking down the street? Well, similarly, N cared only for M, and the rest of humanity could burn away for all he cared. If Mio gets to live, he would do it all over again. He would become a Moebius, trading one person's life for everyone else. This selfishness that was developing is why Lanz, Eunie, and Tyon were all angry at him as N was holding M's hand, hoping that they can close their eyes to the world.
The world doesn't just vanish because you've closed your eyes.
We trusted you! Noah, how can you betray us like this?
Is this gonna abandon us? You have the Ouroboros phone now! What the fuck are you thinking?
We trusted you! We followed you for all this time! Noah!
I got you. Cover the exit. I got you. Come on. Tell me which way. Go around to the other side!
We're okay. We're okay.
Drop him, now! I got him in my sight! I said get back! Hey, stop! Hey!
Running away to game the system. Now, similarly, Malos cared only for Jin and wanted him to be happy, surely, lending him a helping hand when he was homeless at the streets, forsaken by the world. Hugging him and respecting his decision at the end. See, Malos valued their friendship. But you see, for these people, the rest of humanity means absolutely nothing. The Jorans and Shanias of the world, who are still suffering in the pit of despair, the strangers they do not know or relate to, they're all disposable. Malos's and N's love is very exclusive and selfish. And that selfishness is how Logos and it distance themselves from humanity in the first place, to a point of complete dissociation and delusion. even finding joy and amusement in others' suffering.
Is this a game to you?
Yeah, it's a game. An easy cure for the tedium of being.
As for the why, it's because it amuses me.
Nietzsche explains the Ubermensch, the self-overcoming, as follows. Every Ubermensch must come to the realization that his life will end in self-destruction, so he abandons the will to live and embraces the will to power. The Ubermensch is the idea of a humanity that, upon with dispensing with objectivist morality, accepting relativism without nihilism to create value systems, new morality if needed, and thereby recreating himself as a self-actualized being. Nihilism, for Nietzsche, is the collapse of values that leads to stagnation and sickness. And ironically, the Ubermensch is the ultimate self-destruction at your own terms. Exactly what Noah and the party of Ouroboros is representing. In order to forge a more progressive worldview and morality, you need to first destroy the existing established worldview, the olden ways, the olden mortals, as Alpha would like to say.
And he failed to realize that his conscience led him astray. An atavistic delusion. It is common among the old.
If you really hate this world, why aren't you trying to tear it down yourself? Change it with your own hands.
I told you, I'll wreck every last thing.
You can do it differently. There's still a way you can change. And that way, the world will fall away by itself.
The end point of it is suicide.
Say what?
If you don't want to hurt others, you'll end up denying your own right to survive. Eventually, you come to the conclusion that the world may well be better off without your presence. The only resolution, then, is to erase the self, to die.
Is imbuing the moon with meaning really self-delusion? Is saying how it's a bit dim tonight or shining brighter than usual meaningless? The perspective of the Pneuma believes that Logos already imbues the world with meaning by perceiving it to be a vile, filthy, and dangerous world. Their impulse to exploit humanity by storing their life energy in the flame clocks is already a result of their meaning. Because there is no way for any of us to truly live without meaning. True meaninglessness is such a horrifying thing that not even Moebius truly grasped it.
I hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it! This one world, I love it!
Out of the void, we all need to construct something, some sort of meaning, some sort of reason to live. And make no mistake, the Moebius is doing that. They look at the world and see something completely different than what Noah is seeing, Mio, Gondor, Niall, Matthew. What is the will to power that Nietzsche values so much? Having strength, being powerful, what does it really mean? Does it just mean riches and fame? Imagine that you're a famous singer, but you don't have the energy to spend time with your kids. Are you really that powerful? You're addicted to that attention and can't let go of it. Do you think that is strength? In Noah's mind, the will to choose might just be more important than the will to live, to just survive in mediocrity in Ionios.
If the Queen is wrong and the world is not created anew, what happens then?
Huh?
What if this is some flight of fancy? What if you've been taken in, staking your lives on a whim? Who's accountable? I ask you that.
Well,
I think it's still the right thing to do. Oh? It was your smile, Chris. I get it now. I know why you were smiling back then. I'm good here. I get what you meant now. You asked me once if I would keep moving. And my answer... Tell me, Noah. I will. To the end. So that I can treasure those final moments. Final? When that hour is upon me, I want to look back and smile. Then I'll be good. And to come out smiling, we all have to choose where our lives take us. For our future selves. And yet, lack of choice is enough to break a person. They struggle, suffer, clawing their way through endless fog. A world without choice, that's wrong. If death is a lie in this world, it deserves to end. So you'd rather perish along with the world? I just want to cut this world free from Moebius. Whatever the consequences. Yeah. Otherwise, the Queen would never have told us the things she did. We take everything as it comes, and we're afforded so little. Still, no matter how slim a chance we might have, it's a chance.
Nietzsche says, quote, "The stronger becomes master of the weaker, insofar as the latter cannot assert its degree of independence. Here there is no mercy, no forbearance, even less a respect for laws." Just as Joran says in chapter 6, there is a desire for the weak, the worms, to fly like the strong, the birds. But that's not the assertion of independence Nietzsche is arguing for. While Shania feels powerless in this world as a worm, the will to live being superior to the will to power might appear sensible, but it's not that simple. See, I actually get Shania. Unlike her, the soldiers are able to try again for a better life, reborn in the cradles, hoping that maybe this reincarnation would do the trick. But the grass is always greener on the other side. It is important to take a moment here to truly understand Shania, because being a human as a city person must come with a heavy burden that we don't usually discuss. Imagine yourself as one, a city person who can live upwards of 60 years or more, just like Guernica Van Damme. 6 times longer than your average soldier. But now there's this urgency to do something with your life, to amount to something, now that you have only one single fragile lifetime. Surely we can all relate to that. Unlike the soldiers who can get reborn immediately after death, Shania doesn't have the luxury to fuck up, if you will.
What's so natural about the life you want? A life you only get one shot at? At any point, someone could come along and tell you, okay, that's it, time to go.
And who are you to say that life's worse?
I know more than you. It's madness wanting a world like that. The best world for us is a world that at least gives us another go. We fail, we try again. We might even do better next time round.
To add insult to injury, if the cards that have been dealt to you by life is less than ideal, putting you at a clear disadvantage compared to your friends, people like Gondor just outperforming you like it's nothing, well, this happens.
You dream of living out your days in peace. You want to protect the natural way of life. All that shite is a right afforded only to the powerful! What about those who can't live in peace, huh? Are they meant to survive in all this chaos until the very day they die? I have not one thing to my name. I don't even have the power to choose. Screw it.
The will to live Shania argues for doesn't solve the underlying problem, unfortunately. Although the Darwinian physical survival might appear very important, so is the social one.
It's okay, you two. I don't care who cooks. I'm just happy with... I'm happy with...
Rex.
It's so strange. I don't even know what I'm doing here anymore. Everyone's all wrong. They all said I... But now you two... Did I go wrong somewhere?
Nietzsche makes the point that the weak and the strong are relative terms. Lanz might appear like a bird in comparison to Joran, but he's still a worm compared to Zet. Make no mistake about that. The strong and weak are the Moebius and everyone else. If you can look from a high enough vantage point. Birds and worms alike, they're all weak against the world. Against Moebius, without exception. As it stands, even the Ouroboros is constrained within the rigid roles they have to play out for Zed, trying to flap their tiny wings as birds in his theater. Within his rules, fighting to live, living to fight. As Nietzsche points out, the true Ubermensch is the most disgusted by the selfishness imposed by the world.
You steal everything from us!
You think we're even just because both sides do some killing? What good's filling up these flickering clocks in our eyes? It'll never replace the friends we've lost. That's why.
We aren't fighting because we want to.
We're not.
We can see our lives written before our eyes. Fighting is all we have. Is it any wonder we lose loved ones? Or have to take them from others? All of us. We have to fight so we can go on living. Just who decided that this was how it should be? If I knew who they were or where I'd...
I know who they are. You'll what?
The challenge of the will to power is that it proposes an uncertain future. Even the Queen Nia can't promise anything in some absolute sense, unlike the will to live that Moebius offers. Noah argues that it is worth risking your life to see if the reboot of Origin will actually pan out. After all, it's a better world for everyone's sake. But Chris points out that regardless of your intentions, it can all go to shit still. As the saying goes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions after all. What if we all die rebooting the worlds? What then? Wasn't that the reason why Zed hijacked Origin's reboot, fearing total oblivion? On some level, Noah has to acknowledge Chris here, but while the results are not guaranteed, it's a lead. He gotta see through.
And so you became Moebius, so that you could live an eternal now together. Is this still your wish? Do you want to ask one more time for time to stop? Why is it that you are here? Why did you split from your other self? Why is it that you exist? Well then, you've made your choice. Are you happy with how it turned out? Is this how you wanted the future to be? All this time, you've been repeating the same aimless actions, all to keep the world this way, and yourself. Once more today, you've lost the one you cherished most. Are you sad? If you could, would you try again? Or would you rather linger in the endless now?
The world. I wanted to change it.
For whose sake?
I did it for her.
But you ran away. You only cared about yourself.
No! I didn't!
But with time, you changed.
Because they were taken from them by a bunch of crusty old mutters.
The strength you talk about is all just smoke and mirrors. Real strength is different.
That's right. Knowing when to be close and when to let go. Walking together. Eventually choosing who you really are. That is strength. And that's the real battle here. To find that answer. The will to choose our actions moment to moment. And if you dare denounce that common right, we will defy you. To live in a future over which you lay no claim.
Now, I've done my best to summarize Nietzsche's worldview into a single video to show how deeply Takahashi-san is influenced by him in his writings. We can go all the way back to Xenogears, Xenosaga, Xenoblade 1, 2, 3, you name it. Nietzsche is there. And to curate all this information and connect it to Xenoblade Chronicles 3 using the script so directly wasn't easy, so if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below, and if you haven't done so already, watch my Amalthus and Chris analysis right here. That's it for me today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.